cricket's actually not going today, so that's nice.
I was gonna say, I noticed that the cricket is not, like, did they finally die?
I don't think so, because he was going last night. But I can
Oh,
only
okay.
hope, I can only cross my fingers that he died in the night and has just given up.
I also hope so. Because your lizard wasn't eating them, right?
Yeah, no, the lizard's
Why?
not eating them. Because
Why is your lizard a lazy little piece of freeloading crap? He needs to get a job, pay rent.
Because I give him the mango grub diet blend. It's like a little powder that I mix with water, and he just eats that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to eat the crickets anymore. But the crickets.
Well, why do you keep giving him that?
I don't keep giving him. Oh, the blend. The thing is,
what sort of bougie ass lizard do you have?
He's a day gecko. He's so he eats like a fruit mush. But the crickets, the issue with the crickets is that I can't just give them to him because I think they're living in the back of the container. Like, I think I don't think he has access to them.
Clean out the cage.
That would be such a massive pain to do, because when I built it, I didn't build any way to get back there. And he's not.
Aren't you supposed to clean it anyways?
I mean, I like spot clean it, but I don't like take it apart and wipe things down. It's a bioactive tank, so it has isopods and springtails in there that are supposed to break down the waste. And there's plants in there that are supposed to absorb the waste. And so really the only stuff that I need to like clean is the white part of his droppings. And so I just spot clean that, and that's it. And I just let everything else supposed to be like its own little life cycle in there. So
gotcha, like a terrarium.
Yes, exactly like a terrarium. A vivarium.
A lizard area. No.
Lizardarium.
Don't repeat that. I'm ashamed. Die on any hill. You didn't trip me up this time, Mckay. Get wrecked.
I'm gonna get you next time.
So this is a show where every other week, bi-weekly. Would that be bi-weekly every other week?
Bi-weekly, I think it's twice a week.
Oh, then I don't know the term for it. Every other week, we both bring some kind of controversial opinion, and we die on that hill.
Yes.
I need to figure out an intro, bro.
That is what we do.
And I think I'm gonna go first this week.
Okay.
Because I have decided that my hot take for this week, I'm going to return to an old one. And I'm sorry because I made a promise for every 10 episodes to talk about Warhammer for a long time.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah, this is going to be Anty Talks About Warhammer for a Long Time, Part 2. Now, in the last episode, you wanted to talk about... I basically lined out very poorly, lined out all of the major factions that are kind of playable in the game, that are important to the lore. And you told me that you wanted to talk about Chaos next time.
Did I? Okay.
So here's the deal.
Okay.
I didn't think you were going to record this early, so I didn't have time to prepare anything.
Uh-oh.
So instead, because I will be mostly going off of memory and a few glances at the wiki page, I'm going to be talking about the Horus Heresy.
The Horror Heresy.
The Horus.
Okay.
Horus. How dare you besmirch his name?
Like
the
possessive
War
horrors.
Master.
the horrors own the heresy with like apostrophe S?
Sure, whatever.
Okay.
I mean, that would make sense for Warhammer. They would title something the Horus Heresy. So this is something that if you remember, we talked about the Imperium of Mankind. This is kind of one of the big major things that happens in Warhammer that kind of causes a lot of the modern lore Warhammer to happen. This is a huge inciting incident. And yeah, so... Oh, how do I start this? Okay. This is going to be very poorly done. Like I said, I'm doing most of this off of memory. And Warhammer is a lot.
This one's all on you, pal.
Yes, I recognize this. I was gonna have time, Mckay. After I got off my call. When I was on my call, I'm like, oh, after this, I'll go prep. No, don't you relax. This is not. I'm gonna quiz you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, right. You ready for your first question?
Wait, you're quizzing. You can't start with a quiz. You end with the quiz.
Well, it's a review of last time.
Oh my gosh.
Because do you remember what was going on with the Imperium of Mankind?
It was falling. And
no,
it was thriving. It was thriving,
kind of.
Actually.
And
it had taken over the universe, and
the
horrors were rising up to stop it.
No, they just have the Milky Way galaxy as their territory.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So it kind of starts with the Emperor, going back a way long time. Basically, what happens is no, it's better than Star Wars, and a single Space Marine could wipe out the entire Jedi Order and Sith Order by itself. So yeah,
it sounds like Star Wars.
No. Shush. So basically mankind starts advancing because where this story starts, it's kind of in the year 30,000. So from now to 30,000, humanity just keeps advancing in technology. We get to the point where we have what's called the Dark Age of technology. And basically what happens is there's this one guy who we know now as the Emperor, who, because after the Dark Age of technology, the Earth kind of falls into a bunch of feudal warlords that are all vying for the most amount of land, right? What the Emperor does is he is this super big, super buff, he's got a lot of psychic power, like the most powerful psyker known to man.
So like Dune?
No.
I don't know if that was actually comparable to Dune at all, but
no.
Okay.
Read the book, nerd. So he basically goes around, and because he's like this brilliant, strong, he kind of has this aura around him, like light comes off of him because he is so psychically powerful. We don't know exactly where he came from. We have some ideas, but he starts going around and basically saying to all these warlords, join me or die. And he eventually gets control of the Earth. He unites all the warlords into one major faction under the Emperor, who at this point is just the Emperor of Mankind. He doesn't become the God Emperor until after the Horus Heresy. So he unites the world, and then they start expanding into space. Eventually, he kind of starts dabbling in like genetic engineering and kind of trying to create super soldiers. He started with one, and he advanced them into what we know as the Space Marine. And these are kind of his holy warriors. They're like 7-8 feet tall. They're stronger, faster, smarter than any normal human. The Emperor is like a 9-foot giant, my guy. He's huge.
So how did he get so big?
That's because
he's just a regular human.
No, he's a psyker.
Okay.
Which just means he has psychic abilities.
So he's just a regular human with psychic abilities, and he's giant.
No. Yes. No. He is more than human. We don't know exactly where the Emperor came from, how he started. There's a few theories. One is that a bunch of shamans got together and all fused their essence into one dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's fun. But so he starts creating these super soldiers, these space marines. Like I said, if you look up Warhammer, you've seen a space marine. They're the poster boy of Warhammer. They're on everything. They're kind of their highest seller. They're the money maker for Games Workshop with their models. So he creates these super soldiers, and he creates 20 super soldiers who, yeah, I know, it gets crazy.
Bigger, taller, faster, stronger?
Yes. These are the Primarchs. He creates 20 of these Primarchs. And they're the direct sons of the Emperor, kind of. He creates them as closely as he can to himself. He gives each of them kind of special skills and abilities. But they are like a Space Marine. They're stronger, faster, smarter. In some cases, they're more charming. Some of them have abilities, like one of them, when he touches Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz. When he touches you, he will see the moment you die. There's one guy who regenerates all of his cells, so he can't truly die. And they all kind of have something special about them, something that makes them unique. They might be better at fortifying defenses. They might be better at full-out assault. There's one of them that just likes to go fast. They get on their little bikes and go zoom, zoom. So he creates 20 of these guys, and he starts creating these Space Marines, he descends them from the Primarchs. So he goes Emperor, Primarch, Space Marines. And he starts creating these soldiers from their gene seed. So there's 20 groups of these Space Marines that all in some way reflect their father, the Primarch. Then bad shit happens. I know, it's crazy over here.
The Horde Heresy.
And the Horus Heresy. So while he has created these basically super babies, and they're in these giant containers. I don't know how. I don't know what exactly they were in. I always imagined it like, I don't know, a Bacta tank from Star Wars. And then all of those get yeeted across the galaxy.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes.
What does that mean? How?
That means they are thrown across the Milky Way galaxy.
How is that
They're all
possible?
thrown to different planets.
What happened? How were they thrown? Who threw them?
The warp. The chaos gods.
I see. Okay.
Yes. So, because chaos hates the empire. Chaos hates everything because it's chaos. It just wants everything to die, and suffer and all that jazz. You know, it's hell.
Classic chaos.
Classic chaos. So all of these Primarchs in their little tubes, whatever they're in, get thrown across the galaxy to all different planets. They are then raised on those planets to adulthood. They each gain personalities because of the planets that they're on. But the Emperor is like, we need to find these guys. So they start their Great Crusade, where they go around conquering every planet, because at this point a thing happened and all the humans weren't able to talk to each other on these planets. That might be in the dark age of technology. Anyways, besides the point. And so he has to go and reestablish contact with these planets that have been lost for thousands upon thousands of years. And as he's doing so, he finds all of these Primarchs. Through one way or another, he recruits them. There's one guy, Lehman Russ. He gets recruited. He gets thrown to this ice planet. Like this ice planet with giant wolf things, and he kind of grows up. It's very Viking style, and he grows up and kind of becomes the head honcho because he's the fastest and the strongest and the biggest. The Emperor comes down in a disguise and challenges him to a contest of eating and drinking. And everyone's like, nobody can beat this guy. Like, people who are with the Emperor. Now, the Emperor's in disguise. He doesn't look all big and shiny as he normally does. So they don't really recognize him.
What is a disguise? How do you make yourself look less big?
I don't know. He disguises himself as the old man. It's the Emperor. He does what he wants.
Nice. Okay.
Are you going to challenge the Emperor? That sounds like heresy to me.
I am the whore. I'm challenging.
You are the whore of this heresy.
Yes.
So, where was I? Okay, on Fenris. So he lands on Fenris, challenges Leman Russ to this eating and drinking competition. Leman Russ absolutely smokes him. Like, he knows how to feast. This is what Vikings do. Where, after he wins, the Emperor calls him a glutton and says, "Join me, bro." Reveals himself to be the Emperor. Leman Russ immediately gets that it's his dad and joins him in the Great Crusade, where they continue going and conquering other planets, finding more Primarchs, giving them their allegiance. So, after they find everybody, they find all the Primarchs. Well, I'm assuming they find all the Primarchs. So I say there's 20 Primarchs. There's actually 18. Because there are 2 missing legions. They're known as the Lost and the Purged, I think it is. It's kind of, in Warhammer universe, it's taboo to talk about them. Like, if you talk about them, you'll get executed for heresy. So,
like, the warp,
a lot of what the fans do is
the warp just threw them too far away, and we never found them.
Yes, exactly.
Is it assumed they're alive, or that they just died?
We do not know. Like, we, in the canon, do not know.
Well, they're probably dead.
Okay. They could be. They could be out there somewhere.
I choose to believe they died.
Okay. Sure. That's a lot of the fun of Warhammer, is a lot of it is you get to choose what to believe about it. There's so much left to guessing because it's not always the best written. And so he recruits all these Primarchs. He gets 18 Primarchs back. And they go on the Great Crusade, basically going across the galaxy, trying to conquer everything. At some point, the Emperor goes, "Hey, I'm bored of this. I'm going to go home." And he then promotes his favorite son, Horus, to the title of War Master and puts him in charge of the Great Crusade. And then goes back to Terra to chill at Earth. So Horus takes charge, and everyone's kind of chill with this. Everybody's, whatever. They're doing their thing. They're shooting some people. They're burning some planets. You know how it is. Okay, just boys being boys.
It's a good time.
And at some point, Horus gets injured. He gets very mortally injured. He gets taken to basically a temple, a very sketchy temple with a sketchy guy named Erebus who heals him, but in the process of healing him, puts chaos, basically taints him with chaos. And kind of starting a little bit before this, but especially after that event specifically, Horus starts going, "Hey, why did Dad just abandon us? What the hell?" Because the Emperor just basically did say, "I'm going home, later nerds." So he starts getting these doubts of the Emperor, and that, one, the Emperor's Great Crusade is good, that he is doing the right thing, following the Emperor, because people are fanatical about the Emperor. If you say anything bad about the Emperor, you get shot. You get to get shot, if you're lucky. And Horus starts having these doubts, and he starts spreading these seeds of doubts in his brothers, the other Primarchs. And he eventually gets it to the point where, let's see, how long am I going? Okay. Essentially half of the existing Primarchs defect to Chaos for various reasons. So half of all of the Empire's forces turns to Chaos, says, "Okay, yeah, we're going to go against Dad. Fuck that guy. What did he do for us?" Because some of them have some very tragic stories into how they got recruited and they're growing up, and it's amazing. I love Warhammer. So what they do is, because they're still on this Great Crusade with all of the remaining brothers, the ones who are still serving the Emperor. So what they do is they go to a place called Istvan III, I believe it is. And they do what is called the Drop Site Massacre. And what they do is they basically kind of figure out who all is in their army that they don't want, like who in the army is still loyal to the emperor and who is defecting to chaos, who is joining us in our rebellion. And they send all of the loyalists down to the planet, and then they gas bomb the planet. And so they murder all of their loyal comrades.
Like just the soldiers, though, not the brothers.
The Primarchs do not go down. The Primarchs at this point are still around.
The Primarchs.
A few of them get killed in this conflict, but for the most part, they're all around. It's just the Space Marines themselves who are getting killed on this. Well, and anything else that was alive on the planet, because they destroyed it. And after that, there is basically, after this massacre, there's one loyalist ship that kind of escapes and can get back to loyal space to warn the others what is happening. That's a whole thing. He doesn't necessarily get believed. People are like, no, my brother wouldn't betray us. Why are you talking like this? Et cetera, et cetera.
So this is just like Star Wars again with Order 66.
No. This is not Order 66, thank you. This was the Drop Site Massacre. This is not Star Wars. This is better, okay? So...
I'm following.
What then happens is the 9 traitor legions start heading their way back to Earth. They're pushing the front back, and they're trying to get back to Terra to kill the Emperor. So they start this long crusade, basically reversing all the work they already did and recruiting everyone to Chaos, gaining more power. And this is led by Horus, Horus got the War Master title because he was a brilliant tactician. He was good at this. He was good at strategy. He was good with people. That's what another reason is he is often cited as being very charming and very likable. And he does that on purpose. He will change his accent and his inflection so it will be something that will appeal to you more. He knows exactly the words to say. He knows how to honey talk.
As whores often do.
So they start going back to Earth, slaughtering their way back across the galaxy. Like I said, back across planets they've already slaughtered. But hey, let's go for round 2, baby. During this, a few of the Primarchs go after each other. So Fulgrim, who is the Primarch of the Emperor's Children, the 3rd Legion, my favorite legion, fights Ferrus Manus, the Primarch of the Iron Hands. I don't remember what number they are. And there's this huge fight between them because they were fast friends before Fulgrim betrayed the Empire. They get into this fight, and Fulgrim is forced to kill Ferrus Manus. I don't believe any other Primarchs have died at this point. I might be completely wrong about that. So they start making their way back to Earth. Eventually, they get back to Earth. They get to Earth, and it's kind of difficult at this point for Horus to keep the traitor legions in line. A lot of them want to do their own thing. They're saying, hey, we don't want to serve the Emperor. Why do we want to serve you? Some of them just are going crazy and slaughtering everything, and they're just going after the next target, so it's hard to move them strategically. So whatever reason, there's kind of a lot of disarray in the traitor legions at the moment. But they do manage to make an attack on Terra, where the Emperor is. Rogel Dorn, who is the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, he's very defensive. He built all the defenses on Terra, and he is known for creating impenetrable fortresses. Rogel Dorn's motto is a good offense is a good defense, in that he will build a castle with just concrete walls and then put treads on it so it can just go through everything.
Like that Mortal Cities.
Yes, exactly. But imagine it was more like...
Oh, so it's just Mortal Cities. It's just Mortal Cities then.
I mean, it's not...
Story.
No, it's more defensive, bro. It's... I need you to understand, like, everything in Warhammer has been stolen from something else, except I think Warhammer was first, because it started in the 80s. A lot of things have stolen from Warhammer too. It's a lot of the fun with Warhammer,
I'm sure,
is kind of the hodgepodge of tropes and just stealing things from Star Wars and Dune and every other sci-fi and fantasy franchise.
So you admit it?
Oh yeah.
So you admit it? Star Wars.
It absolutely does that, but that's part of the fun because it's a lot of it is the schoolyard argument, like who would win in a fight, Darth Vader or Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This is true.
That's the spirit of it. It's very fun. The goofiness is part of the fun of it. Because even these Space Marines, they're like the models are huge, they're chunky, they're very goofy looking. But it's fun. So we're at the Siege of Terra. The Chaos forces are assaulting the palace where the Emperor is. They're causing a lot of destruction. But Terra is holding their own. They have the defensive guy, the guy who knows how to defend something on Terra. I believe there's a few other legions that come in to help them near the end to kind of drive off or to break the traitor line. But so one of the reasons the Emperor went back to Terra is so in order to space travel, in order to go through space, what happens is they take a ship, they open a portal to hell and go through hell, and they get spat out on the other side. In order to navigate that and to basically know that once you go into the warp that you're going to come out in the right spot, is they have to navigate via this beacon called the Astronomicon. And the Astronomicon is fueled by the Emperor sitting on the Golden Throne because of his psychic might. And that's basically their North Star of how they can navigate to various planets, how they can establish trade routes. Everything relies on this. So the Emperor is sitting on the Golden Throne, but he's like, okay, whatever. I'm going to go up there and finish this. I'm going to go beat the shit out of my son. So the Emperor has to leave the Golden Throne. And while he's sitting on the Golden Throne...
So has he just been sitting in one spot for the last, couple decades? He doesn't ever move from that spot.
Correct.
What if when he goes to the bathroom?
He doesn't have to.
What do you mean? Does he eat?
He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to eat?
Nope.
But somehow he thinks that he can win an eating competition, but this guy doesn't ever eat?
Well, yeah, he's an emperor. He's the God Emperor. Are you doubting the God Emperor?
Yes.
I'm gonna call the Inquisition on you, bro.
I officially doubt the Emperor.
Oh my God, you're a heretic.
Win
I can't believe
eating competition
when
he doesn't even eat to begin with.
Be seen with you. They'll come after me, bro.
It's the sluts blasphemy. I'm starting a new one.
The sluts blasphemy.
Yep.
I would love a Warhammer war titled The Sluts Blasphemy. That would be so on brand.
That would be my story. I'll write it myself.
I'm here for it. So the Emperor has to get up and go beat the shit out of Horus. Go give his son a spanking. But in order to get up, somebody else has to sit on this throne. Because one of the problem with the Astronomicon is, in order to keep it up, the forces of chaos, the four major chaos gods, do not want the Astronomicon. It causes too much order. They want to destroy it so they can cause more chaos, destruction, whatever suits their wants. And so they are constantly pushing all of their might against whoever is holding the Astronomicon up, basically. And that is a thing that will kill a mortal man. It is only it would kill a Primarch. It is only the Emperor who can sit on this throne. But while he gets up, he has this friend of his named Malcador the Sigillite, who has been with him almost since the beginning. Since the Emperor started his plan of uniting Earth and uniting the galaxy, he has been there for the Emperor. As a friend, a counselor, an ally, whatever the Emperor needs, Malcador is there. So Malcador sits on the Golden Throne. He ends up dying because of this, and it's this whole heroic sacrifice thing. Woo, yay. It doesn't really matter. So now the Emperor goes up to Horus's ship to lay the smack down on him. Along with the Emperor is another Primarch named Sanguinius, he's this very beautiful, he's got wings, long flowing blonde hair. He's a guy. A lot of people like Sanguinius. I honestly couldn't care less about him. But Sanguinius goes up there with him to fight Horus, and Horus, there's also speculation that there was a third person with them. We don't know who. There's some stories with that I'll get to in a second. But so Horus ends up killing Sanguinius and injuring the Emperor in this battle. Horus does get killed by the Emperor in the end. And when I say the Emperor killed Horus, I mean the Emperor removed him from existence. Like, no traces of physical matter, no traces of psychic matter. It's as if he was never there to begin with.
And the Emperor had to get all the way up to do this?
Yes.
He couldn't just, snap it into existence?
Yes. Because the Emperor is powerful, but at this point, he is not truly a god. So there is some speculation. Like, one of the stories in Warhammer, it's called the Lone Guardsman. It's kind of one of the famous stories around the Horus Heresy, where basically the idea is that when Horus was fighting the Emperor, a lone guardsman, just a regular dude, just some guy, was there with them and kind of threw himself in front of the blade to save the Emperor, and ends up getting himself getting himself killed in the process. And the idea, the kind of thing behind that story is, in Warhammer, there's a lot of in-world propaganda that we as the audience only see, as it would be given in the world. So that story is often spread around to guardsmen to inspire them to loyalty and be like, oh, look at this, we have something to be proud of, and we're not just cannon fodder, even though they are. Which, like I said, that's just one of the fun stories from Warhammer. But at the end of this exchange, the Emperor is injured, grievously injured, and they have to rush him back and put him on the Golden Throne because Malcador's dead. Malcador has died. He has been burned up by the warp, but we need the Astronomicon. So what they end up doing...
The Astronomicon has been down this whole time.
No.
It's been dead.
Malcador's been dead, yes.
And it has been down the whole time because someone has to be sitting on the throne, right? Or no, it only works.
But I don't remember. I don't remember exactly. Let's see. I'm reading the wiki about it.
But you said it only works because of the Emperor's power. So if the Emperor was away from the throne,
it works on psychic power. So it basically killed him in a couple of hours because he was trying to stop the forces of chaos from coming into Terra. He was trying to keep the Astronomicon going so people would know where they were going. It consumed his body and soul in a few hours. So the Emperor, they have to get the Emperor back down to stop chaos from invading Terra, stop them from just opening a giant hole in the universe, which they do anyways. And they get him back onto the throne, but he is dying. He is so grievously injured that he cannot continue. What they end up doing is they hook his body to the throne, with a bunch of rods and pipes and tubes and such, and he dies there. And now on the Golden Throne is just the Emperor's skeleton that is hooked up to, this decaying corpse is stuck on the throne, and you have to sacrifice in order to keep enough life force in the Emperor to keep the Astronomicon up, to keep chaos out. They have to sacrifice 1,000 psychers every day to be consumed by the Emperor.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's a lot.
How fast are these psychers reproducing?
So Warhammer takes place quick. Warhammer takes place across the entire Milky Way. not just our solar system, the entire Milky Way. There's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of worlds. There's trillions upon trillions upon trillions of people. They get enough. That is a worry. That is a concern that they're going to run out of psychers eventually, but it's probably not going to happen. Because why would they do that? Like, writing-wise, that'd be dumb. Yeah, because then it would just be the end, and yeah, whatever. Anyways. So that's kind of the end of the Horus heresy. And it kind of starts this new era where, yes, the Emperor is still there. Technically, he's still alive. He's not active. He's just, like, a lot of traders call him the Corpse Emperor. But at this point is kind of when he starts officially getting recognized as a god. And he starts getting this fanatical worship. This is how he then becomes the God Emperor. The entirety of humanity worships the God Emperor, and to do anything else is heresy, which gets you killed. That causes a whole bunch of slew of problems. It kind of gets fixed. The Empire is now spread out across the galaxy. The Primarchs are taking care of their own shit. The Empire is still trying to expand. They're trying to fight off the forces of chaos. They're trying to fight off orcs. They're trying to fight off Tyranids. They're trying to fight off Eldar. They're trying to fight off Dark Eldar. They're trying to fight off Tau. Listen, humans are violent.
I see.
They see something else and they shoot it. So yeah, wow. And that takes us kind of after that. There are some other things happen, but then we fast forward to the year 41,000, which is where the game now takes place.
Okay. So does any of the game actually occur in this, or this is all just back lore that?
Yes and no. So it is back lore. It is just lore. But there is a version of the game called Warhammer Horus Heresy, which does take place during this.
And the game is like, how many different forms of this are there? It's just mainly the board game, but there's also like books.
Yeah, so there's books, there's comics, there's art. There's the board game or the tabletop game. It's not a board game, it's a tabletop strategy game. Yes, that's semantics, who cares? And yeah, it kind of, you build your little models, you paint them. Some people are into it just because of the painting and the building models, which is totally fine. There's some sick models. Some people are into it just for the lore because it's absolutely batshit wild and insane. But it's fun. But Games Workshop, the company that makes Warhammer, there's a few different versions of the game. They have Warhammer 40k, which is kind of the most famous one. That's the one that I've been talking about. They have Warhammer the Horus Heresy, which is in the 40k universe, but it's a prequel to 40k, basically.
Right.
They have Warhammer Fantasy. They have Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which is another fantasy version. And they have the Lord of the Rings Warhammer.
Lord of the Rings Warhammer?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, the first models I ever painted were a couple of orcs from there.
What is it? Is it a crossover between Lord of the Rings and Warhammer?
So it's all Lord of the Rings like units. It's like it's orcs, elves, dwarves, that kind of stuff. But it's the strategy game.
Okay, so it's just the Lord of the Rings characters.
Yes.
In the game. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
But in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah. Do you have any questions? Any more questions?
I don't know that I do.
Okay.
Are
you ready for a quiz?
I am ready, I think, for a quiz.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure there's a million things I could ask, but I just don't even really know what I would ask.
Sure.
So,
have I gotten you interested in Warhammer yet?
I mean, it's a cool story. I don't know that I don't have like an outlet to play this game at all.
That's fair.
Like, I don't have
books.
There's books, but I'm not a big reader. Like, I don't really play. Like, I don't have a group that plays strategy games, and I don't really sit down and read books
very
Sure.
often. So it's like, but I am interested. Like it, the story sounds very interesting. So,
It is. It's. I kind of got hooked on it because I started going down the wiki hole, because the Warhammer wiki, you can follow hyperlinks forever. And then I started reading the books, and yeah, it's super. Like I said, it's super fun. I really love both the goofiness of it. I love but also the self-seriousness of it. Like, characters in the universe will never be like, this shit is insane. What the hell is going on? Why the fuck does this work? Why the fuck doesn't that work? What?
They just go for it.
Yeah, and like nobody's ever like, this is odd what we're doing. Are we the bad guys? Then no. But yeah, it's a bunch of sci-fi tropes mashed together. So like I said, it's the schoolyard argument. Who would win in a fight? Blah blah. You know.
Right.
But yeah. Okay. Quiz time.
All right.
You can play at home, listeners, if you've made it this far.
All right.
Question number 1. How many Primarchs were there?
There were 20, but we only talk about 18 of them, because if we talk about the other 2, we piss off the Emperor.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think, because I am making these up on the fly, dear listener. Who healed Horus to allow him to become tainted by chaos? I said his name exactly once.
Yeah, this one's not ringing many bells. Wait, say it again. Healed Horus to allow him to be tainted by the Emperor.
By chaos.
Tainted by chaos. And this was right after he was mortally injured and then started questioning the whole purpose of why he was there.
Yes.
Okay. Mordecus.
Mordecus? That's a good guess. That would be a Warhammer
Thanks.
name. I can almost guarantee there's a named character named Mordecus.
There's got to be. Yeah, and I had a 1 in 1 million chance of getting that one right. But
yeah, that is Erebus. He's kind of a huge player in a lot of the heresy. I didn't go over him a lot because I don't know a lot about him, and also I didn't want this recording to be 2 hours long. Let's see. What is the name of the story that is spread to inspire guardsmen?
The Lone Guardsman.
Yeah! I'm so proud of you, Mckay. You were listening.
I was listening the whole time.
I need y'all to understand. Except when we got to the
Erebus part.
That's fair. Mckay has more and more reclined as this goes on. I can see his hair, and that's about it.
I was getting comfortable, as I said. But I was listening.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to do this, Mckay.
Yeah.
It's fun. I will be more prepared next time. Like I said, I was planning on doing a bunch of preparation today, and then you texted me at like noon and was like, "Hey, I'm ready." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
I mean, you could have said like, "I need an hour" or something.
No.
I was just
I'm firing from the hip. Let's go. Some of my information is just straight up wrong. I'm aware of that. Warhammer is super deep, and not deep like philosophically deep, but there's just a lot going on at all times.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded pretty thorough.
It wasn't.
Like what? Yeah. Okay.
It was not. Like, I promise it was not. It's the Horus Heresy book series is 54 books long.
Oh my gosh.
I'm on book.
Are these all
7,
by like the same person?
No.
Like, how many people are writing these?
The Games Workshop has basically a team of writers that write their books. And some of their, like, in the Horus Heresy, it's like the first 3 books are in a series, and then they kind of branch off and do their own thing. So they get written by different writers. Some of them are better doing like orcs.
And it's only these writers from the workshop that are like
Games
part
Workshop?
of the official canon. Yeah.
Yes. only books published by Black Library, which is Games Workshop's publishing house, are officially canon.
I see. And how many books are there in total? Like, the entirety of the Warhammer name. How many books are there?
Are we including Age of Sigmar or just Warhammer?
Is Sigmar not Warhammer?
It is, but it's a fantasy version of it. It's not the same universe.
Okay, well then no, I guess we're not including that.
There's a lot. There's probably over 600 at this point.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, because there are books for different factions. Like I said, I've read the Horus Heresy. There's some books for like orcs. There's some books about, I think there's some Eldar books. I'm not entirely sure.
How long are these books? Like, how are they said this started in the 80s?
Yes.
So that's been like, what, 30, almost 40 years? And they pumped out 600 books in 40 years?
Yes.
That's like, can't even do the math. How many books a year is that?
A lot? I don't think it'd actually be that much.
Around 15 books a year.
That's easy.
That's more than a book a month.
Yeah, but they have a bunch of writers. And so some of the writers are really good too. There's various different styles too of the various different genres in Warhammer. Like there's some kind of detective spy thrillers. There's some that are just war novels about guardsmen on the front lines. There's sprawling
How big are these
fiction.
Books? Are they only like a couple hundred pages, or are they like Lord of the Rings
usually
size?
They're usually a couple hundred pages. Like I have a collection. It's a trilogy. I have what are they called? The Bat Boys. I don't remember their name. They're one of the Space Marine Legions. Then there's a trilogy of theirs that I have, and it's like 700 pages in one book, all three in one book. So yeah.
Wow. That's
but
a lot.
Thank you for letting me ramble about Warhammer. Thank you, listeners, if you've gotten this far. That is very much appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want us to continue making this stuff, obviously this is not the format every week. It's just something I do when I want to talk about Warhammer for a long time. But if you want to support us, hey, download the episodes. One of the best ways to support us is word of mouth right now. Tell your friends. Write a review on Spotify or Apple, wherever you listen to this. And yeah, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add except do all those things.
Great. The end.